It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. I am Jill Schlesinger, and I am joined in the background, you can't hear him, by Mark Talercio, the best executive producer in the world. And we are answering your financial questions one at a time. If you have something on your mind that is remotely associated with money or career or something like that, give us a holler. Just jump onto the website, jillonmoney.com, and click the contact button. Today, we are starting the program with one of you, our listener, Brent. He is from Colorado. Hello, Brent. What can we do for you today?
Thanks, Jill. In the upcoming year, am preparing to sell a business that I have started about 10 years ago in the software space. And I want to do a good job with it all. It's been a labor of love over the past 10 years, but I'm kind of clueless as to what I need to be thinking through as our team and our company goes through this process.
So can I ask a few questions? And of course, this is not his real name because we're protecting him. So why did you decide to sell?
We started the company 10 years ago and we had zero outside funding and no outside investors. And it's been a struggle. We got it up and going. We've been so lucky and fortunate to get it there. In software, we're at that sweet spot where that first round of private equity is really attractive. And so we've just decided it's at the time we'd probably get a great return, a great multiple on the business. And we would like to proceed and do that.
That's awesome. All right. And so let's go a little bit about you personally, and then we'll get to the business. How old are you?
I am 40 years old.
Wow, you're young. This is exciting. And are you married, partnered?
Yeah, my wife and I have been married for, about 16 years, and we have 8 children.
Hold on. Mark is having a little nervous breakdown on your behalf. 8 children. Any multiples in those 8 kids? Like, do we have like one set of triplets that throws these numbers off?
No kidding. There are no multiples in there. Those are 8 kids spaced 2 years apart. And I have 5 of them are girls, and I wish they could grow up and be like you, Jill.
Oh, that's so nice. No, you don't. You have no idea. I was such a pain in the ass kid. 5 girls, they're all 2. So what are the age ranges?
So if you start at 15 years old and you just subtract 2 and
God.
All the way down, our youngest is about 7 months old.
Oh, my God.
Mark, you might have to leave that in. Are you guys all right? I mean, 8 kids is a lot. I don't know how to compute this in my brain. Let's not go there.
A weird fact? So
yes.
Part of the compelling reason to sell the business is it's a great time. There's a lot of money in the markets, and we're getting lots of outreach from strategic investors and then the financial investors. And I'm doing the math, and I think I'm going to be having children in college for 20 years straight. And
oh my God.
I have no idea how I'm going to cover this cost unless we just have a great outcome with this business.
Okay. And are you the major shareholder? Are there other people involved?
Yes, there's 2 other co-founders. We're all equal shareholders, and we own the majority of the business for sure.
Okay. What do you figure your 1/3 of the business is worth?
Outside auditors have told us right now that my shares are probably worth $7.3 million.
All right, let's talk about other money you have, and we're going to come back to the business. Okay, so you live in a house with these 8 kids?
Stacked on top of each other. Yes, we do.
What's the house worth?
The house value's probably around $850,000.
All right, and do you have a mortgage outstanding?
Yes, about $340,000.
Okay. Presuming you get the $7 million books, would you want to allocate some part of this to be in a bigger home, or is this the house that you're in fine with you guys?
Yeah, probably need to get to a bigger space. It's a 2,200 square foot home. bunk beds galore.
All right. So that would be one aspect of this, which is, what do you think you'd have to spend to be in a new house that is big enough for 8 people? I actually think you need a cattle ranch of some sort.
Yeah, carrying over the equity to the current house to the next one, I'm thinking there's probably another $400,000 to $500,000 we need to spend.
All right, that seems reasonable. So even if we said even if you like doubled it to like 1.5 million, right? Like that could be possible. Okay. So that would do it for you guys. And here's my other question for you. If you were like looking ahead post sale, do you want to keep working? Do you want to go? Are you a serial entrepreneur? Do you think that you'd want to do this over and over and over again? How do you look at this?
Oh, keep working for sure. I'm way too young and got to keep going. In fact, I'd like to keep going inside the business. I think it would be really great, but I feel like we need to just kind of take out some of the risk. Almost my entire net worth is in the business, and I want to kind of diversify and then make sure I'm really set up in the future for success, and definitely keep working. No need to stop.
Did you feel like in the COVID era, do you think that it helped your business in general, just in terms of valuation or the business itself? Were you able, I know it always feels weird for me to ask that question. I'm just interested. Did the last 2 years help your business more so than it would have sort of in the pre-COVID era, you think?
Yes, COVID, it's terrible and wouldn't wish it ever again. But for our business, it really propelled it forward, and just incredible growth over the past few years. A lot of it because of how the world has changed.
Yeah.
And more dependence on software.
Were you always sort of like, we got to get out of this? Was one more interested in selling than the other, or is everyone pretty much on the same page? Like, holy crap, we're in a great place. Let's take the money and run.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad. Because sometimes it's tough with partners, right? Let's talk a little bit about any other money that you guys have besides that's in the house. Do you have an emergency reserve fund?
I have an emergency reserve fund, but you can imagine with 8 kids, it's not where it needs to be. It's just a little over $20,000 cash on hand.
How much do you think you spend every month on, 8 kids? I don't even know how to really compute this all, but what is your need if you look at your monthly nut?
Yeah, right now we probably spend about $10,000 to $12,000 in just typical operating expenses for our children and everything that they're involved in.
So 10 or 12 grand a month is the nut. Besides the emergency fund or the, whatever, that's actually just like a small operating budget, which is really everything is going in and out. Any other investments or 401k, IRA, anything like that?
Yeah, I have tried to do it, but it's just been a battle balancing trying to build up the emergency fund versus the retirement. And so we probably have a little over 125,000 in IRAs and brokerage accounts.
Kind of like the retirement, is that going through the business? Do you guys have a 401k at work, or is everyone on their own right now?
We have a small 401k, but I've done the IRAs kind of separate on my own.
Traditional IRA or Roth?
Roth IRA.
We'll get back to Brent in just a second. If you've got a financial question and you would like us to answer it, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are broadcasting from the Capital One Bank virtual studios. Capital One, this is Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet? Well, we are about to go back to talk to Brent from Colorado about the sale of his business. However, before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that if you've got something going on in your financial life, we're here to help you out. it's our pleasure to do so. So we encourage you to go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click on the contact button. And by the way, while you're there, check out the resource section. In our resource section, we are trying to build some tools out that will help you better manage your life. And the resources section is helped by you guys. So if you've got some suggestions that you want to check out and you think we should check out and share with the community, let us know. So again, jillonmoney.com. You can always listen to our other shows, our podcast, Jill on Money and I on Money. You can read the blog, all that fun stuff. Maybe even watch a video or two. Tell me what you think. All right. So we are going back to talk to Brent, who is we're talking about the sale of his business, and we're walking through some of the things that Brent needs to consider as he is looking forward to this sale. How much do you draw as income from the business currently?
I take an annual salary of about $195,000 with a $30,000 bonus, just depending on how the year went.
Okay. So obviously, this is why you guys are running pretty tight. If you were to stay on, it's a funny thing when you sell a business, because when you're the owner, you keep your salary low and you pour everything into the business. But if I were to go hire you, my 40-year-old software genius, Brent from Colorado, what would I actually have to pay you? Like, this is a business that would have to pay you how much to keep you on the staff?
Probably $400,000 to $500,000 a year.
So do you have an actual acquiring company? Is this like a done deal, or is this like in the works?
This is in the works. So Nothing yet.
So that would be something that's important, because we'd want you, as you start thinking about selling, to factor that in. You got to get paid what you're worth. I remember a long time ago, I had a client who had a small business, and it was funny. The acquiring company basically said, well, you're not paying yourself enough. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I thought you'd be happy about that. They're like, no, a real business has to pay people. You can't just do this, right? So we need you to be paid. Okay. So let's now move into the fun part, which is how we're spending all of your money. You have attorneys for the business, right?
We have attorneys for the business, but not for myself.
Mark, do you think that he should get his own attorney? Do you think he should assemble his own team right now? Yeah, I think so also. Look, the business may have a slightly divergent interest from you personally, okay? What I think could be interesting here is that, obviously, the way you structure this deal could have huge tax ramifications. And so what I think you're going to need is, you have an attorney for the business. Is somebody helping you? Are you like an investment banker of some sort, someone trying to negotiate a sale on your behalf? Or is this something you guys can do on your own because you have other, I don't know, like maybe it's just the industry? Do you know the potential acquirees of your business?
Yeah, we are not that smart. So we do have an outside banker that is going to help us run the process later this year.
Okay. What I think would be interesting for you is I would start assembling my team. Do you use an accountant for yourself, a CPA?
No.
I would hire one. I would totally hire one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I would hire somebody who has some expertise in sale of businesses, which you can certainly find. I'm sure that, through your network of people who you would find someone, but someone who's dealt with, $5 to $10 to $15 million sales. Like you don't need someone who's handling $1 billion deals, right? You need somebody who can help you personally and establish that as someone who you really trust. And then I think that you probably are going to need, I don't know if you need a deal lawyer for yourself, but I almost feel like that CPA, if that person might have a good suggestion, I would go for the CPA first, and then I would probably get an attorney who could just kind of walk me through. Do you have, just trying to think, do you have friends who are lawyers? Do you know anyone like this, or are we starting fresh with no access to people?
I have friends who are lawyers, but I'd probably want to start fresh and maybe just run a short, quick process, talking to a few, making sure that there's standardization around their counsel and advice, and pick the best one from there.
Yeah. You know what I might ask? I might ask the deal person to say, look, I really want to have my own lawyer involved in this, just to have a review, just to have another set of eyes. Nothing bad's going to happen. Cost you a few bucks, right? Maybe you ask that person who's managing the sales process to give you a few names. I think that would be a great place to start. And also ask that person for some CPA firms that you could interview as well. I mean, look, we need to figure out what is going to be the tax implication that, you're not going to get $7 million net from this deal. There's going to be some taxes that are going to be due. I don't know what they are. You will structure things differently. It may be a deal where you say, you know what? We're not going to get an all cash deal. Maybe we have to take some stock. Maybe you want that. Maybe the other two don't. That's kind of why I think you may want to engage your own sort of mini team. So a CPA, an attorney, and then I might even think about hiring a certified financial planner to help you out. And frankly, there's plenty of CPA firms that will do financial planning, so they may be able to do it with you. In fact, oh my God, I have a great recommendation for you. Because I know this guy, he is a CPA by training and then has become a certified financial planner. So when we get off the air, I'll send you his information, okay? But I think that you want to assemble your team. When you have these huge life events, what we want to make sure is that you're structuring the deal the right way for you. And, frankly, I don't want to make it antagonistic with your two partners. It sounds like you have a very good relationship, but I feel like in my own experience, I had tethered myself to a business, what's best for the business, at my own detriment. And I think that my lesson in that is that when you can have your own representation, it might put a few noses out of joint, but it might save you some heartache down the line.
I think that's really smart.
Yeah. So that's how I look at this. Let's just pretend you had $5 million net from this whole deal. Okay. And you had to spend $1 million on the house, right? And now you have $4 million in like your operating budget. Then I think what happens is you kind of have this $4 million that's stashed away. You may want to talk about, I don't know how, you view college funding. If that's something that's important to you, you might want to peel off, $1 million and start funding a bunch of 529 plans. But I think that your team that you assemble can help you with that. You're still going to work and you're going to make $400,000 or $500,000. I think that you probably won't have to touch this money for 20 years. That's the hope. So you want to start prioritizing. You and your wife would sit down with your team, with the CFP, the CPA, the attorney, identify the priorities that are important for you, and then use the money to fund those priorities. That's what I think has to happen from this moment. And you've got time, which is great. And it's also really good because it sounds like you're quite analytical. And I love that. And you're looking at this in a way that I think is really smart. I also think I'm going to give you a big like 5-star review of just saying, I'm not waiting around for the biggest amount of money for in the future. I'm taking advantage of something like this strange period that propelled you forward, that accelerated. If COVID was the accelerant to this business, you're not waiting around to see what happens next. You're saying, let's do it right now, which is really laudable, I have to say.
Thank you. This is good stuff, Jill.
Okay, now we are always happy to talk to you about anything going on in your financial life. It could be the sale of a company, could be your kids' education, could be your parents' finances. It doesn't really matter. We'd love to help you out. So go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact button. While you're there, sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It's free. It comes out every single Friday. Mark does a great job with that. Okay, we will be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And if you're just joining us, thank you for sharing part of your weekend. If you ever miss parts of this program, you can always go to our website after the fact to JillOnMoney.com, and we post the show after the fact. So don't worry, anything you miss. We also would like to encourage you to think more broadly about your financial security. And one way to do that is to really think about the process of financial planning. If that's something you think you or your family could benefit from, I encourage you to check out our sponsor, Facet Wealth. Facet Wealth provides financial planning for a lot of different kinds of people, whether you're a small business owner, you're an employee, you're young, you're old. It doesn't really matter. What they do is they focus on what your goals are, and they conduct their financial planning with that basic premise. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? You will receive flat fee, conflict-free planning from a dedicated, certified financial planner, someone who has to put your best interest first. That's really by law, actually. There are no wealth or account minimums. Facet meets you where you are. And so if you go to facetwealth.com, you can read up about it. You can see all the different folks who are involved. You've heard the chief evangelist of the firm, Brent Weiss, on this program. He'll be back again soon. So check it out, facetwealth.com. Okay, right now we are going to try to hold someone else's hand financially. It is Chris from North Carolina. Hey, Chris, how are you and how can we help you out today?
Hello, Jill and Mark. I have a multi-part question. My first question would be, what is the hierarchy of saving priority? So, obviously emergency fund, hit your 401k match. I'm assuming max out your Roth IRA, but then if you have access to other accounts, where does it go from there? I'm fortunate to work for a company that has an HSA on top of, traditional 401k. So what is the best path for savings?
Okay, great. So let's kind of go through this. Chris, how old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay. Are you partnered, married?
Married.
How old is your spouse?
37.
Kids?
2, 5, and 3.
And do you own a home?
Yes.
Tell me, how much is that house worth?
Roughly 500.
Do you have an outstanding mortgage on the property?
Roughly 300.
Do you know the interest rate?
3.5.
Okay, good. And do you have an emergency reserve fund right now?
I do. It's about 56.
Do both you and your spouse work?
We do.
Okay, how much do you guys earn together?
About 175.
175. Let's talk about retirement savings for each of you. What are you putting away into your 401k at work, which, as you said, is a traditional?
I actually have a Roth option. And from listening to you for the past couple months, I did switch all my contributions to Roth. I believe I'm putting in roughly 8 to 10% into Roth. I also have a retirement plan from my company. It's, retirement plan / pension that they contribute solely on their own. And I did max out my Roth IRA this year as well.
Okay, so you're putting like 8% of your salary in the Roth and then a Roth IRA also. So tell me about spousal contributions. What's happening on that side?
She is a teacher, so she will get a state employee pension.
Nice.
And she just started this year. She opened a 403B, and
Great.
I believe is contributing Roth as well to that.
And how much is she putting into that?
I want to say about $3,000 a year. Not much, teacher salary.
Yep. But she's putting $3,000 into that, but she's also maxing out her own Roth.
She does not have a Roth IRA herself now.
Okay, so we got a lot of money going into retirement, so that's great. And there's a pension. HSA, are you maxing that out through work?
I am not. So that's one of my, questions is, should I defer some of my 401k to max out the HSA?
We have a mortgage. Any other debt outstanding?
No.
Any savings for kids' education, and is that important to you?
Yes and yes. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I inherited some money earlier this year. My father passed away. Oh. And one of his requests was to put money away for both of his grandchildren for college. So I put about 75 each. One of them is about at 80 grand and the other is about 76 grand. Based on calculators, that's what we assumed would be in-state 4-year covered.
Are you putting that in a 529 plan or just a separate account?
They're both in 529s.
Great. So is the essential question whether you should be doing more in retirement versus HSA versus just a plain old brokerage account? Is that can I kind of get you down to that place?
I guess what's the best placement for my money in those types of accounts?
Okay.
Where would I maximize my returns and, ideally not have to really worry about pulling money out of retirement for healthcare costs?
On your $175,000, given the fact that you're putting money into your Roth 401k, that you're putting money into your HSA, that your wife is putting money into obviously a pension contribution and a 403b, how's your cash flow? Like, are you tight every single month?
So we do things, I don't know if it's traditional or not. I tend to take care of all of the main household expenses. So I'm pretty tapped every month. My wife is the saver. So family vacations, any sort of household project, she's the one that has the piggy bank, so to speak.
Okay. And does she feel that she is is her salary tapped out or not?
No, she's able to save a decent amount per month.
We'll get back to Chris's question in just a minute. It's Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help Chris from North Carolina out. And before we get back to Chris, I want to remind you that at our brand new, beautiful, redesigned website, jillonmoney.com, there is so much going on there. Check out our two other broadcasts. One is called Eye on Money, and the other is called Jill on Money. Now, Jill on Money, it's every single day. It's like this show, but spaced out over 7 days. So every day we drop about a 10-minute episode where we are trying to talk you through your financial questions, like a little bit of Jill and Mark every day. And the other podcast is called Eye on Money. And Eye on Money, we drop twice a week. What is the benefit of Eye on Money? You get to hear Mark Talercio. I'm sorry, that is just a great benefit. So check them out. Eye on Money, Jill on Money. You can go to jillonmoney.com. You can subscribe to both of them so you hear us constantly. Okay, let's get back to Chris from North Carolina. So what do you think is the actual cash flow that we're talking about when you say, like, every month I have a certain amount of money? Are you asking me whether you should put less money in your 401k and more in your HSA? Or are you saying, should some of the money that my wife is earning kind of be shifted over into the savings category?
More so the first question, what is the
right combination?
Am I making a mistake by not maxing out my HSA?
How much money's in that 401k right now?
My 401k has just a hair under 79,000. But there's a caveat. I do have some of that inheritance money in 2 brokerage accounts.
Oh, wait a minute. We're holding back here. So, okay, how much is in that brokerage account?
Well, one was it was a Roth roll. My father had a IRA rollover, so that's where one of the brokerage accounts was, and the other I opened based on sale of the home proceeds. Both of those brokerages combined have $332,800.
Let's break it down. How much is in the IRA rollover from Dad?
$219.
And how much is in the taxable account?
$113.
I think that this is great to have all this money. I think you should be maxing your retirement 401k and not do the HSA. Here's why. I don't know how big a pension your wife's going to get, but I think you are sort of underfunded on retirement this second. And I'd rather you have a bunch of money that's going into the Roth IRA and the Roth 401k. How much is your salary alone?
108.
108? Yeah, I mean, I think that you could be putting in 15%, 18% into your Roth 401k and also putting money into your Roth IRA. I think that's preferable to the HSA.
So I do have a balance that's in the company sponsored retirement plan that I cannot contribute to. That's 86,000.
Yeah, I don't think that actually. I mean, it's like not. I don't want to like say, oh my God, you're screwed. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I just think that you will have more flexibility with the Roth rather than the HSA, and so I think that we should be focused on retirement. I think that if your wife didn't have health care through the pension and all those caveats over there, which is usually when you're an employee of a municipality, your health care is pretty good. So I'm not saying you won't need an HSA, but I think for the time being, while you are in this current situation, I think that I'd rather you have the Roth savings, number one. So here's your hierarchy of savings. You've already done your emergency reserve. You don't have any other debt. And I think maximizing your Roth makes a lot of sense. Once you get, next year you can put up to $20,500 away pre-tax. Okay. So if you were putting something like, 18% into your Roth 401k and just letting that click along for a while, if you then start having the cash flow to absorb it, then I would put some money in the HSA.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense. I love that the education is a done deal. It's like, done. Cross that off the list. A couple of other quick questions for you, okay?
Yes.
Life insurance. What do you got?
Myself, I have $1,025,000, which has 14 years left on the policy.
Okay.
My wife has, I think, $750,000. We're actually in talks about renewing our plan. We did it in better health and prior to children, and with having only 14 years left on the policy, we're wondering, is it worth an extra, a bump in premium to renew to get a 20-year policy?
Yeah, it might be. I would just, check out what's available online. We have a sponsor of the pod is Policy Genius. You can start there. You can look at Haven Life. You can do a lot of different things. Check out what the cost would be. It may not be that expensive. So it might be just fine to say, like, let's just do a 20-year term policy. How much would it be? Or even just get extra. So, you might say, like, maybe you'll have this for, so many more years, and it only gets you to like 17 for the kid, right? 14 years to go, right? So maybe you just say, like, let's just get $500,000 on each. Because remember, part of the issue here is that over the next 14 years, you're going to save more money. So that means that actually your life insurance need is reduced. So it may be interesting for you to run these numbers just to find out how much would we really need. But I wouldn't go crazy with it because I think you're probably in better shape than you think when it comes to your insurance position.
Okay.
All right. How about wills?
We have them done.
Very good. You get a big gold star. Stay in touch with us. Let us know how things go. So thanks so much for joining us.
Will do. Thank you so much.
If you want to come on the air with us, it's as easy as going to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact button, and on that form, there's a little box. Tell us, I want to come on the air. Okay, we'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we take a break, let me do one quick note from you guys. Remember, if you don't want to come on the air, I'll read your questions as much as I can, but it's easier if you actually come on the air. This is from Joan, who writes, I'm hoping you can advise me on where I should put money for my infant grandchild that will actually make money. A traditional savings account will yield nothing in 20 years. A CD, it's only good for 3 or 5 years, then it has to be moved. A college savings can only be used for college, hopefully. But what if they don't go? Any suggestions? I'll tell you what, I do like the college plan. I'm sorry, but if they don't use it for college, they can take it out and use it for something else. But it's such a great way to actually save for the future of somebody's education. But you could always do a custodial account if you wanted to. And you can also maybe check out an UGMA or an UTMA account. These are custodial accounts, and it's kind of the easiest way to save money for a minor child or grandchild. It might be a way to think about that without tying the money up in a college-based plan. I understand your fear, but again, those college plans are great. Here is another question from Stephen, who's got a large amount of money in the bank and thinking of putting some of it into an annuity. What do you think about a variable annuity from Prudential that would provide the upside of the S&P 500 with a 10% buffer on the downside? Stephen, please don't do this. I don't even know the details of your situation. Don't do this. I don't know how much money you have in the bank, but how about just a plain old brokerage account? Huh? How about that? An annuity will tie up your money. It's filled with fees. And if you just put a balanced portfolio together, you'll have a little buffer. I don't see why you would do more than that. I really want to advise against this unless you tell me there's something very specific in your life that I should know about. And what would that be? It would be that maybe you have so much money socked away every possible place, tons and tons of money, and you want to have an annuity that's going to be left as a legacy to some place. No, even that I can't even imagine that, like some sort of gifting annuity. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Thank you. Okay, it's Jill on Money, and we will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Okay, it's hour number 2. It's Jill on Money. Have you stretched out, kind of limbered up for this? Second hour, lots of fun. We are here to take the mystery out of your financial life. The way we do that is we ask you to hop onto our website, jillonmoney.com. Just bookmark it. You'll come back to it. And there you can get all sorts of content that we create, blogs that I've written and old shows, radio shows, 2 different podcasts. You can also check out some of the appearances that I make on CBS Mornings specifically. And of course, we've got our free weekly newsletter, which I very much encourage you to sign up for because it is filled with chock full of interesting information that Mark accumulates. Every Friday, he gathers it up and sends it out to you. It's a great resource. So check it out, jillonmoney.com and the free weekly newsletter. Okay, we are starting our second hour with Michael, who is on the line from Michigan. Hi, Michael. How can I help you out?
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time out to have a conversation. Appreciate what you and Mark do every day for us listeners.
Thank you. Tell us what's going on.
All right. Well, I've got 2 kids. They are a senior in high school and junior in high school. So in the next couple of years, they'll be going to college. And to date, we've been mainly focused on our retirement savings, and we have not started a 529 or any other dedicated college savings. So as we go through this, and obviously we're going to encourage scholarships, the thought is what should we do as far as I've had people tell me HELOCs might be a good idea. Do we let the kids take out student loans? It's our intention to actually pay for college for them, just kind of as a gift for them to get them started in life and have them focus more on retirement, because I think there's great value in that.
Well, let's hear a little bit about who's this we. Are you married?
I am married. I'm 51. My wife is 45. As mentioned, two kids, junior and senior, so 18 and currently 16.
So tell me about what you and your wife do in terms of earning a living.
Yeah, so I'm full-time wage earner of the family. My wife does a little bit of part-time work on the side, but basically households is dependent upon my income.
And how much do you earn?
Base-wise, I'm around the 140 range. Annual bonus can be between 20 to 25,000.
That's great. And do you own a home?
We do.
And tell me how much the house is worth.
Currently about 525, and we own or owe about 200 on it.
What's the mortgage interest rate?
2.75.
Oh boy, is that a 30 or a 15?
We set it up as a 20.
A 20-year. Okay, got it. Tell me about the emergency reserve fund. You got some cash on hand?
We do. Checking, it's around 30,000, and then I've got a brokerage account that I kind of consider in that same space. Mm-hmm. That's around 50.
What about retirement? What do you do on that 160 or 165 of annual income? How much are you putting away for retirement?
I'm putting about 35,000.
Wow, that's great.
It's a focus.
That's great. Do you have a 401k or a 403b? What do you have?
Yeah, it's a 401k. We got about $1 million in that fund.
Wow.
We've got a traditional rollover. It's around 800,000, and then a Roth at 315.
Holy smokes. You're rocking it, dude. He's not rich is what Mark is saying, but that is you got more than $2 million saved, and 140 grand is great. 160 grand is great, but it's not like you're making $800,000 a year. So you really have done a fantastic job. So you're putting in $19,500 into your 401k plus the $6,000 catch up, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you've got the Roth contribution for your wife on her own income, right?
Right.
Okay. And is there any other consistent saving that you've been doing beyond that? Is there extra money? Like, you have a brokerage account, but are you actually funding that, or is that just money that has grown?
We are funding it. We do use that account for our vacations, as well as also just in case something happens majorly.
Okay. And how much goes in there?
$800 a month.
You're cranking, dude. You're cranking. Okay. All right. Are these kids going to Michigan? Like, you have a great state school system, don't you?
Yeah. So plan is we are willing, I didn't qualify this up front, but we're willing to pay state tuition for the kids.
Which would be how much?
I believe it's going to be tuition's around $16,000 and then room and board on top of that. So we expect it's going to be close to 25.
So you want to fund 25 grand a year for the 8 years that will be funding college, right? 4 and 4. Okay. So that's good. Is it possible that you just pay for this out of cash flow and just don't save a lot while that's all happening?
It's possible, yes. Well, I'm sure we can get the majority of it. And that's kind of my anxiousness, if you will, to stop saving. Is that the right thing to do now? Or do we let the kids do their student loans and then pay the student loans when they come due?
I'm sort of looking at this and saying to myself, you are saving, you're saving so much money, and it doesn't sound like you're big spenders. So you've got some choices here. I'm not a huge fan of getting a home equity line of credit for you guys. I just don't think you need to do that. Mark, do you feel okay about pulling back on the amount of savings and just using cash flow to help with college? Right. I mean, but loans are okay, so there's two things. Mark says, and this is right, in general, what we often will say to people is, look, keep funding your retirement. You've got, let's see, this kid's 16, so we've got 6 years or so, right? And in those 6 years, you'll plow more money into your retirement. You'll be very close to 59 and a half by that time anyway. You could pull money out if you needed it, and you could simply help pay down those loans. I guess that my concern, not concern, but my issue is that these are going to be they're higher interest loans than you probably would like at this point in your life. Can I split the difference with you? would it be possible for you guys to pull back a little bit on your retirement contributions, or maybe even just say, for example, like, instead of 800 a month into the brokerage account, could we maybe make that more like $1,500 a month and fund that brokerage account, keep piling money in there, and let's accumulate some more money that you would help the kids pay down those loans, some of the loans, or at least have some choices and we can see where they land. I feel like the theme of this week on the show has been that we want people to establish money that has already been taxed. Not that I don't love for you to save for retirement, but I do feel like if this is a really important part of your value system for your family, and it's a goal that you want to accomplish to really do this for your kids, we have to actually do something today to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the today part is, I think you should have some more money in the brokerage account. Okay, if you would like to get on the air, just like Michael did, all you have to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact button, and click the little box that says, I'll come on the show with you. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You are back. It's Jill on Money, and we are broadcasting from the Capital One Bank virtual studios. Capital One, this is Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet? All right, so we get your questions all the time, and we are so grateful. I just want to apologize in advance for the fact that it takes a while sometimes for us to actually respond to the question you're asking. One of the quickest ways to make sure that we can help you out is to say that you would like to come on the air with us, because we do give preference to those people, not because we don't like shy people, just because if you're willing to come on the air, it's a much more interesting conversation. I think we both get a lot more out of it. And if you really are struggling with a financial decision and it is time sensitive, let us know that. But also maybe, just maybe, your best advice is not to give us a holler, but maybe to think about more deeply your financial concerns. If that's where you find yourself, if you're just, maybe you're staying up late worrying about money, maybe you really have a confusing or difficult decision to make, it's complicated, that may mean that it's time for you to talk to a financial planner. And specifically, you hear us talk about certified financial planners because we believe in the idea behind the CFP mantra, which is essentially you got to put your client first. That's the most important thing. But also that financial planning is not just what's the best portfolio mix for you. And it may not even be just about what is the day that you can retire. It's a lot of different things. That's why I believe that the folks who sponsored this program, Facet Wealth, that they have it right, because they use financial planning starting with a simple premise: goal-based drives everything. What are the goals of the client? And then what is the plan that derives from that? So if you would like goal-based financial planning without any wealth or account minimums, go check out facetwealth.com, facetwealth.com. Okay, now we are going to get into a conversation with Julia from Pennsylvania. Hello, Julia. How can we help you out?
Hello. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Ooh, I like that high energy. That's good. That's good.
So I have some questions. They vary from retirement, are we putting enough in, to we want to build a house, actually a barn dominium where we just moved to, and just a bunch of questions. So
all right, let's go. Let's go one thing at a time. So Julia, how old are you?
I just turned 31.
And you said a we. Is there a partner in this?
Yes, my husband.
And
Yeah.
how old is he?
He's 30.
How much do you guys earn?
Gross is I'm 90 and he's 70. He also gets a car stipend of 6,000 that is not taxable. He just was promoted in this past January. So this next coming April for his new position, he's going to be getting around a $25,000 bonus, and that is taxable.
Wait, a bonus meaning that is that something I should count on, or is that a one-time only thing?
It's pretty much every year he'll be getting a
All right,
bonus
so
like that or bigger.
all right, so I can say 90 grand for each of you, which is pretty like eventually, like that's just months away. Okay, great. Do you guys have any children?
We don't. So our current situation is I bought a house when I was 24. I fixed it up. It was a fixer upper. I sold it for a profit of 190,000. We just sold it this past April. So now we're living in a 400 square foot room with 3 dogs
What?
and a cat.
Wait a minute. Wait. Stop right there. You sold this place. Were you living in the fixer upper yourself?
Yes, it was a small home. It was like 1,200 square feet, but it was definitely, a nice, cute home.
Okay, and you sold it, and your net profit $190,000, which is now sitting in the bank.
Yes, we did use some of it to pay off like car loans and all of our debt, and we still have some of it sitting in there waiting to pay off my husband's $30,000 student loan.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Okay.
waiting to see kind of what Biden does, and if he doesn't do anything, we'll just finish it off and be done with it.
So you're renting a 400 square foot room with four-legged creatures. What is left in the bank right now?
142,000, and 33 of that is going to be set aside for his student loans.
Okay, got it. You must be saving money hand over fist if you're living in a 400 square foot apartment. How much is the rent?
Well, it's free because our in-laws own this pole barn that has the room in it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So now tell me about the barn dominium idea. I like this. First, I've never heard that word, but I love it.
So we have property that's next to actually where we're living right now that we're going to be purchasing for, it's going to total 25,000. So the barn dominion is basically a metal building. Footings are going to be, wood sitting on pilings in the ground, and then it's going to have a concrete floor. We're doing a loft in it, so it's basically a giant metal rectangle that has metal siding and a metal roof. It can be cost effective depending on how you do it compared to a normal stick built house. So
when you say you're going to buy it for 25 grand, is that going to be, are you going to use the 25 grand from the 142 that's in the bank account right now?
yes.
Okay, got it.
I forgot. I already took 15 out and I have it sitting in my checking. There's only 10,000 I have to take out still.
So how much will it cost to build this thing?
So we're figuring that out right now. I have it fully designed and we're waiting to get back quotes from all the people, the contractors and stuff. So we're thinking it's going to be around 350 to 450, something in there.
Yowza. That's a real number.
It sure is.
So so if you have 142 grand that's in the bank, 33 to pay off the student loans, another 10 grand to finish the purchase of the property gives you $100,000 left over. Is that $100,000 left over? Is that also going to be is that part of your emergency reserve fund?
No, it's not. So we have
Okay.
40,000 in emergency savings.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So, can this structure be financed?
Yes. We have a bank we're going to be working with, and they seem pretty easy to work with. Yep.
Would you consider taking the 100 or some portion of whatever the 100 is left over and putting that into the cost of this and then financing the rest?
That's correct. That's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to do the 20% down so we don't have PMI. And just kind of wondering that extra money, should we also throw it at that mortgage, or should we keep it as cash for other things, because what we've decided to do is, since we are now debt free, but we're going to have a mortgage, only go into debt for the mortgage and then try to save up money for anything else we would want to buy, including cars.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I like that idea. Let's just say that it ends up being 400 grand. And I know you'd like it to be 350, but all these projects get away a little bit from us. And so let's just say it's a $400,000 build.
Mm-hmm.
You put 80 grand down. That extra money you have goes into the, I don't know, like the surplus emergency reserve, the car fund, the big, who knows that once you build this thing, you got to buy stuff for the place. You know what I mean? So I would keep the $20,000 in reserve for whatever kind of big thing comes next. So you're going to keep living rent free while it's being built. Yes?
That's correct.
We'll get back to Julia in just a second. If you've got a financial question, just go to jillonmoney.com, click the contact button, and we'll get your note. Don't forget to check the box to say if you'd like to come on the air with us. We will be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And this is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. How do we do that? Well, we create lots of fun content. We put it up on our website, jillonmoney.com, and then we also answer your financial questions. So it's sort of an old school model, but we like to say that we've just brought it into the realm of the more present, meaning that we understand that hard and fast rules don't work for everyone. So it's not that old school financial planning doesn't work. Sure, it can work, but we want to adapt it for you and for your needs. That was always my struggle with a lot of the advice that was given. It seemed very cookie cutter, and you're an individual. So we've got to make sure that we cut the cookie to the shape that best fits you. Oh, I like that metaphor. I think I'm going to try to use that again. Anyway, let us get back to Julia from Pennsylvania so we can continue our conversation with her. Tell me about how you guys are managing retirement contributions.
Yes. And just so you know, I do have a question about the mortgage because there are different rates and years of fixed rates and stuff. So,
all right, let's do that first.
Okay. So we're looking at this bank that offers for the construction to permanent loan. It's either a 5, 7, or 10-year fixed rate on a 30-year amortization. The rates range from 3.25 for the 5-year to 3.75 for the 10-year. The rates could go up after those years. Should we do the 5-year with the lowest rate and then refinance for a completely fixed rate?
How long is it going to take to actually build this thing? What's your guess?
Less than a year. I'm hoping 6 months.
So if you could do it in a year and then you could refinance it once it gets all permitted and everything, and then you could try to refi after, yes?
Right.
Soon. Okay. Yeah. Then I would do the 5-year.
Okay. Because I was worried interest rates might go up, but I don't know.
Yeah, but you can refi anyway. You're going to have to refi it no matter what. The other question I would have for the mortgage company is, would they be willing to do a 30-year fixed rate note if you were to spend like the first 80 grand on the project?
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Ask them about that.
So if maybe that's a possibility, but otherwise, I don't see there's a real reason for you to, I mean, you should get the lowest rate and then you're going to end up, it's going to suck because you're going to refi quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be like, oh, we threw money down the drain, but it's a construction loan. So I would rather you put more money and, sort of waste the money on having this refi possibility and lock it in as soon as you can. Because,
okay.
And again, if you can say to the bank, look, we're going to put the first 80 into the project. Would you then give us a 30-year fix once that's done? Some banks will say like once the structure, once there's once there's a foundation, and then they'll work with you a little bit. Let's see what they say, but also say to them like, okay, would you do a 2-year? Because you're going to refi this sucker.
Right. Okay.
All right, now let's talk about retirement on your 90 grand.
All right. So I have 42,000 in retirement. I do 150 in a 457B. And then I just upped my Roth 457B to 400 biweekly. So I have about 14%, I believe, going in.
Great. And are you work at it for a municipality because that's a 457. Will you be entitled to a pension?
Yes, I will. So I went online and I did their little input thing to do like, what I would get at retirement. So my retirement after 25 years at age 47 is currently listed at $3,900 per month.
Wow. That's great. And you love your job. Is this something you think you're going to be, you're going to at least kind of go through that till that age 47?
I'm really going to try. We do want to try for a family, and I don't know how that's going to play out. I'm vested after 10 years. I have 8 years in right now. If I get to 16, I also get health insurance for myself at least. So I'm really going to try to get to 47 because that 3,900 sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does. And so too does the health insurance for,
yes, absolutely.
Like really. And they can't penalize you for having a family. Come on now. All right. So you're putting 14% away plus the pension. Now, what about the hubby? He'll be making about 90 as well. What's his retirement contribution level?
So he's at 15% if you include the 6% salary match that he gets every year.
All right, good. And how much does he have saved?
He has 20,000 in it right now. He just started his job just a couple years ago.
When you think about this extra money coming in from his salary, do you have it earmarked for something, or are you just going to put more money in retirement overall for you guys?
That's another kind of question for you. Should we try to max out our retirement to get to the max for both of us? Maybe just for him, since I do have a pension. Mm-hmm. Not sure where to put it. Maybe the mortgage?
No, definitely not the mortgage.
Okay.
That's a definitely not. Again, this is such a strange time. You're in big time transition. So you've got the 40 grand. You've got the student debt will be paid down, eventually I think, probably a year from now, all the debt's gone. The property is purchased. We know that you've got the money set aside to put the money down, have that 20% down on the house. And so, between the free rent and the bonus, I think that there's two things to consider. One is he should be adding more to his retirement, right? So he can just, instead of saying, he's putting 9% in plus the 6% match. No, he should be at 15% himself. Right? We want him to start putting money away. But you can also just keep some extra money set aside since you know that you're going to want to have a kid or a couple kids. And, we can build up your non-retirement savings again because you have that beautiful pension that's in the future. So it's something like a combination of him putting more money into retirement plus establishing a non-retirement savings/investment account. I think that's where I think you would want to head. Does that seem reasonable to you?
Yeah, that sounds very reasonable.
Okay, we're almost done with Julia. We're not done just yet. But when we come back, we will finish up. And if you've got a financial question, just go to jillonmoney.com and you can click the contact button. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We're getting very deep into the program here. We are going to finish up with Julia, I promise. Sometimes it just takes a while to talk through all the different aspects of your financial life. So, that's something that we try to deal with. But of course, if you would like to join us on the air, all you need to do is hop onto the website, jillonmoney.com, and click the contact button. So easy to do. While you're there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter and also check out the resources section, because we're trying to really beef that up, and it would really be helpful to us if you send us along any of the resources that you use to help manage your financial life. That would be great. Okay, so now let us go back and finish up with Julia. And don't forget, after this is over, just go to jillonmoney.com and bookmark it. Okay, here we go. Mark wants to know what Julia and her husband are doing with all their extra cash since they are living free of rent. So where does that money go?
We are throwing it into the house account. And then some other things that have popped up, such as he was able to go on a moose hunt suddenly when somebody backed out, and he was asked to go on this moose hunt. So it's kind of like a once in a lifetime situation. He's hoping to go again, I'm sure, someday. But I was like, we have the money, you can go. So he just did that. So we did pay, some for that for sure.
Okay, wait a second. Let's have a moment to talk about the moose hunt. Not at all the question, not at all the answer I expected. What does a moose hunt cost?
So this one was $6,000.
I don't even know what to say about that. Is Bullwinkle a moose? Yes. Bullwinkle is a moose. So that's your husband is paying $6,000 to kill Bullwinkle. I think that's wrong. I'm sorry. I'm totally kidding. I don't really care. So your extra money is just going into a slush fund for fun stuff, right? And other stuff, right?
And we did buy a new mattress. We bought one of the Sleep Number beds, and that was definitely pricey, but we sleep much better now.
Oh, excuse me. This episode is brought to you by Sleep Number, not a sponsor, but thank you for that endorsement. All right. This is so funny. I like that you are putting money aside. I have a feeling that once the house is built, there's going to be a lot more money saved up in cash. And that's going to be great. If for some reason you come to, it's 6, 8, 10 months from now, the house is sort of coming near completion and you've got extra money that's, sitting around in that in that non-retirement account, that's okay. That's okay, because you're going to have a lot of things that are happening in the next few years that are cash intensive. So I think it's great that you're living in this 400 square foot apartment. I mean, honestly, if he hunts the moose and catches the moose or whatever he does with the moose, you can't mount the moose on your 400 square foot apartment wall, right?
So, so he did. He went, he got one. And so he has the skull with the antlers on them.
Oh, God.
But the rest of the moose was meat. So we bought a freezer that holds it. And so now we have a freezer full of frozen moose meat.
Mark, I don't even know what to say right now. I mean, hold on a second. Listen to this. Can you hear this? This is the Rocky and Bullwinkle theme. This is fantastic. Blam, Rocky. Anyway, don't write in if you don't like moose hunting. This is just part of the story. We like details like this. Do you guys have some estate documents? So do you have a will, and do you have a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy?
We do not. I
know. Well, let's put that on the list anyway, since honestly, you're going to be doing this big project. Just put it right up there. Oh, yeah, you could have that Dick Cheney thing where someone shoots him by mistake. Remember when Dick Cheney shot that guy? What a dingbat. That's a good point, Mark, that you never know when someone's hunting moose, whether the husband is part of the, sort of the pathway. Let's get that done. Obviously, before you have kids, we would want you to have some life insurance for each of you.
We do.
So, yeah, great. What do you have?
It's through my work for both of us. There's 250,000 on him and 350 on me. That was the max we were allowed to get.
Okay, so if you were like well on your path to like, oh, we're going to get pregnant now, you probably both need more like $1 million.
Okay.
You can just get it really cheap, term life insurance. Julia, is there anything else we can do for you today?
That's it for me. Thank you so much. You've really eased my mind on all these questions I've been like bogging over in my brain for the last 8 months.
Oh, I'm so glad that you called us because it's our pleasure. This is the first time we've heard about spending money and saving money for a moose hunt, so that's awesome. And we wish you guys the very best of luck with your future endeavors. Keep us up to date. Send us some pictures when you start the construction on this thing. This will be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. That was a great, lengthy interview with Julia. We could do the same for you. All you need to do is think through what is the financial question you'd like to ask us. Go onto the website, jillonmoney.com, hit the contact button, and give us as much information as you want. And if you want to come on the air, just click the box. Okay. We will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we let you go for the day, let's do one last question from Catherine, who writes, I was sold 2 annuities, not 1, but 2, before I learned that annuities aren't such a good investment. I've held on to them because I just don't know what to do with them at this stage of our lives. What options do I have? Should I leave them as is? When or if should we start taking these payments? I don't need the money. Well, first of all, Catherine, are these annuities that are held inside of retirement accounts like an IRA? If that's the case, then you might be in luck. You might be able to just transfer the money and push it into another IRA account. If it's a non-qualified annuity, then you may just want to annuitize it because that makes sense, but maybe you just want to take the money out, because that's something that you might want to consider if there's maybe no charges to do so. But you really got to check in, make sure there's no surrender charges or fees to get out. It sounds like they're old, so I don't think that's the case. But if it's going to add to your taxable liability and push you into a new tax bracket, I don't know if I'd like that. Maybe take a little bit out at a time and slowly but surely empty that thing out. But again, if it's in a retirement account, you can just transfer it to another retirement account and get out. Just make sure that you understand all the rules around these contracts. Sometimes they have fees to get out. Doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm just saying you want to know it before you go in. Okay, we are now done with the program. And so what I like to remind you is that this show is not just me. It is lots of people, specifically Mark Talercio, the best executive producer in the world. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. And don't forget to hop on the website, jillonmoney.com, if you're looking for any of our content. We like to remind people to do something nice for someone else today. That will make them feel better, and it will make you feel better. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.